looking at the big picture of the society right now, where do you think we are in the mindset, and which direction are we going?
We are in a new awakening.
Okay.
So I relate where we're at to the 60s, where it was a major conscious shift of the world. You know, when you talk to conservative Americans and they have this idea that the US used to be good at some point, right? And when you ask them when is that, they're going to give you the same bullshit answer, which is the 50s. Back in the 50s everything was good. Back in the 50s you had this. Well, that was all a facade. That was all made up. And a lot of that was made up by television and movies because that's all they show, like Leave It to Beaver and stuff. But the reality is that life was not like that, right? At some point in the 60s, people started shifting their mind and said, well, maybe this whole thing is not what they're telling us. Maybe there's more to life other than just making money, getting a job, having the American dream, the white picket fence and everything else. Maybe there's more to that. Now, a lot of that had to do with the introduction of psychedelics. A lot of that had to do with the popularization of substances like marijuana that kind of open up your mind. But in a general sense, consciously, people were moving. Now, I think that because of what happened in 2020 with the lockdown, a lot of people got slapped in the face with truth. And a lot of times people realize, they realized a few things. Number one, I don't like this person that I'm here with. You know, I'm supposed to be stuck at home with this person and I can't go anywhere. Like, oh man, I don't really like them. They didn't notice because they were at work, school, blah, 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 everything else. They might have had the opposite effect. Well, you know, I'm just dating her. I'm not really serious, but now I'm locked up. I can't see nobody else. Man, I love her. Like, I miss her more than I really thought I was. What happened, though, it was that happened with life, with jobs, with everything, because the whole world got shifted. The whole world got stopped.
I heard somebody say that, and it struck me hard because I hadn't thought about that yet, that particularly coming from Germany or from Europe, is that COVID had a bigger impact on the American way of living, on the society, than World War II.
Yep.
And it makes sense because World War II, a lot of people lost loved ones, of course, in the war. But in terms of the day-to-day life in the U.S., it didn't change.
No.
People just went more. They had a women's baseball team because the men were drafted into the military, and they worked more in factories to produce arms and things like that. But other than that, life did not change.
Yeah.
In Europe, it did, obviously, right? Everyone's house got bombed and everyone thing, and people lost all their loved ones, and total life completely went upside down. But that's since I born in 1970 and have no recollection of that. Obviously, life was perfect again, but at that time. But you grow up with the stories of your parents and your grandparents of how everything was put upside down. But in the U.S., it didn't. Yet, COVID has put the life in the U.S. upside down, and it put everyone in completely different situations.
It made people look inside.
And change their outlook on life. And you see that in the consumer behavior right now. You see that in the demand for land, for example. We flip land. So land is on fire because the need for space has skyrocketed since then. The need for like RVs, ATVs, toys, people just like have changed their outlook on life and are now, I don't know if you agree with that, but are now more focused on enjoying the now versus just working for 30 years. Well,
so like I said, the same thing that happened in the 60s is happening now. Now, if you look at it from that perspective, the early 2000s or whatever were basically like the 50s, where people were just kind of in that routine. They go to work, they come home, they watch Netflix all day, they go to the gym, they come back. Like it's the same routine. When you got shooken out of that, people were like, wow, I need to make a change. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. And having your own freedom, having your own land, having land for, you know, in case something goes down, if you need to escape the city or whatever, like those are all things that came into the conscious mind. And like I said, right now we are in a shift where the old way is being conflicted with what people are going. You know, for people like in my age, because I'm 40, I saw my parents who are baby boomers, I saw them buy into the American dream lie and then get stuck up their butthole, you know, right before retirement. I mean, it's still happening to my mom right now. They keep on pushing back every year that, oh, yeah, well, you're retired next year, and dangle the carrot. And then she comes all happy. And they're, oh, well, it's actually going to be another year now. It's actually going to be this. Or, yeah, if you retire right now, I know we promised you this, but we're only going to give you this. They were the last generation that actually fell for that. So people my age range, there's still people that follow that, but a lot more were like, well, maybe there's a different way. Maybe we can start our own businesses. Maybe we can do that. And then our children are now looking at it from that perspective. The possibility or the probability that your daughter ends up an entrepreneur is relatively high. My children are the same thing. My son is 20. He just started his landscaping company. And because they saw this shit. So we're shifting in a way now where colleges are starting to know that they're full of S. Harvard doesn't give you anything more than any other place other than who you're connected with.
I predict, and I agree with those that predict, that a third of the college is going to be out of business in the next 5 to 10 years.
I agree. It's probably closer to 10 to 20 because of just the culture of college. But I do agree with that the people are doing. Look at, like, you see things like malls being closed all the time. The old style of doing things are going away, and that's part of the shift there. Now, one of the things that happened during COVID was people realized they weren't happy. Mm-hmm. And that was a big one, because when you're able to just distract yourself with all these things, people realized they weren't happy. And that's one of the things that I noticed in the real estate investing thing was that, yeah, people are making money, but when they stop and they actually slow down, they're not happy. They need the distraction of constantly doing deals. And I made a post about a month ago where I said, some people do drugs to escape their problems, others start a business. Because the people that are starting a business, that's for a lot of them, it's a way not to deal with their actual issues. It's a distraction of, I got to solve all these other problems without ever solving the internal problem.
So the answer to you then is solve your internal problems first,
yes,
and then you'll find out what you really want.
Yes, what you're really good at and what your purpose is here.